Because this craziness, this sickness in this country now is shot through the whole society. People in law enforcement have also succumbed to right-wing extremism and white nationalism. Again, what this points up is how pervasive and vast a problem this is, and we will be dealing with it for a long time.
Each other list.
15, 14, 13, 12. He'd 11. He'd 11. He'd 11. He'd 11. He'd 11. He'd 11. He'd 11.
That song. I'm very proud of it. I think we did a really good job with it. Hi everybody, I am Big Ugly Jim, and I am streaming live on Twitch and YouTube and Facebook, although Facebook is always sketchy as all heck. But we'll do what we do. Yeah, it's good to be here. It's Saturday. I usually stream Saturdays at this time, usually like 12 till 3-ish, depending on how I'm feeling and how things are going, and if I had a gig the night before, because when I had a gig the night before, I'm usually a pretty cranky boy. You may notice I added a cute little fella up there. That's me. I decided that I would try and, you know, use that image, which I did on my phone. And yeah, so that's just a fun thing. I don't know why I decided that, but hey, why not? Cartoons are cute, and I think it does a pretty good job of capturing me. Although I am growing my hair on the sides and back, so it ain't perfect. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I have decided. Not that anyone asked, but I have decided that I will grow my hair on the sides and back. I will do so simply because I fucking felt like it. You know, I was shaved for 25-ish years. Then right around just a little bit before COVID started, I decided to like grow the little tuft on top, which is not a mohawk. It's just a tuft. And then time marched on. I decided that, you know, it's fun. I originally shaved my head because the hair is chaos. Like there's no taming this wildebeest. But I felt like, you know, it might be fun to grow some, and I really enjoy the chaos. I'm a huge fan of all the weirdness that happens on top of my head. So I was like, yeah, let's keep that. Let's do that. And now I feel like, you know, kind of want to play around and see. Worst case scenario, just take a razor to the sides and back again. Bring back the tuft. But for now, we're going to try something different. So yeah, I'm a political streamer. I sometimes talk about various topics of political stuff in stuff. That's kind of what I do. It's what I enjoy. This channel originally started, I'm also a musician, among many other things, but when COVID struck, we found ourselves bored shitless. And I was like, you know what? I was streaming, like just practicing, because I'm a fairly bad musician, honestly. And so I wanted to hold myself accountable. So I would stream and practice along to the various bands I'm in. And then I wound up just having this idea that I would like have chats with people. And those chats would be like fun and would remind people that there's a world outside the door. Because, you know, when we were in the lockdown mode, which wasn't terribly locked down, but, you know, was definitely not what we were used to. It was a nice and refreshing thing to be able to have like little bits of normalcy. So, you know, having these conversations was cool. And then that sort of evolved into whatever it is I'm doing now, which is more me just being a asshole and saying whatever the fuck I feel like saying about politics and hopefully not ostracizing myself to the world. I am a lefty. Ich bin ein Left Berliner. I'm technically a libertarian socialist, although mostly people would probably think I'm a sock dem because I do talk a lot about democracy, and democracy is, you know, it's the best we got. It's what we're stuck with, so I kind of don't fight that too hard. But I believe that any system can and should change for the better, for progress, as they say. I am a progressive, so you will hear that if you're new to the stream and going, what the fuck is this big weird man talking about? I'm also old, and that informs some of my politics. It informs some of my experience. Like, I'll give you an example of how it informs my politics. A lot of people who are younger than me are, I think, reasonably very concerned right now at the state of global affairs. In particular, the idea that we have this, you know, Cold War thing that's kind of starting up. And we have one with China and we have one with Russia, and they're not friends, and it's not at all like, you know, Eurasia versus, was it Oceania and all that shit? It's nothing like that at all. I grew up at the ass end of the Cold War previous. And so I grew up pre the fall of the Berlin Wall. I think it was 15 or 16 when the wall fell. We grew up with the specter of nuclear war. And so I get what people are going through. And I can tell you, it's going to be all right. It's going to be weird, but it's going to be all right. Gen X is not special. We made it through because that's the world. You kind of have to. And you will too. If you're feeling the fear, it'll get better. Anyways, that's enough of a little sort of rambly intro. I am a very small streamer, Andy streamer. There's one person, it looks like, in my Twitch, F-Top Iyer. I'm probably saying that completely wrong, and there's probably a really obvious way to say it. But, you know, I'm not smart like that. So, welcome. I am a very small stream, Andy, and so I do encourage, if you want to chat, please do feel free to chat. It makes conversation a little more interesting rather than just it being a lecture by me. I used to teach post-secondary school, so I know how to lecture, but, you know, then it becomes sort of echo chambery and kind of annoying for everybody. Anyways, if you're on Facebook watching, I will try my best to keep an eye on the live chat, but it doesn't show up in the cool thing. YYC Live Music, hey kiddo, how you doing? That is my eldest child, a rad human being by any definition. Anyway, so I have this cool chat box over here, and if you are on Facebook, your chat will not appear in there, but mine will, which is also really stupid and annoying, and I don't know why Facebook can't get their shit together. But that chat will have Twitch and YouTube, which is the other places you could be watching me. I could be doing other places, but fuck the world. I don't care. So I think the first thing I want to talk about is kind of a bizarre and touchy subject, and that is pedophilia. Why not start with a bang? So clearly, I guess not clearly, I haven't said shit about it yet. I am not a fan of pedophilia. I don't think it's good or awesome. I think it's, in fact, bad and like destructive, and I think that is an important thing to keep in mind when we talk about subjects like pedophilia, that they can be just like intrinsically bad. There was a thing in the news recently involving former, I believe, light heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. And the way that I encountered this story is the eldest of the children that lives with me is a big fan of MMA and was like, hey, Dad, Cain Velasquez just got arrested for, like, killing a guy or something. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. There's a very heavy police presence by my place. They finally placed an injunction on these fuckers. Yes, and we can chat about that, too. I'm just stunned that the police are bothering, honestly. The cops have been, let's just say, lax when it comes to, you know, enforcing the law and doing their job when it comes to convoy people. This is why when Americans debate about the Freedom Convoy, it is so frustrating for us Canadians, because, like, dude, you don't understand what you are talking about. This shit is frustrating as all bejeebers. And it's going on and on and on. So, like, our mandates are gone. We do not have the requirement to mask. We don't have the requirement to show your vaccine passport to go to a gig. There's no limitations on any of that shit. And yet people are still just piss and fire when it comes to the mandates. They're still protesting. They're still honking their little horns. And they've been basically occupying the Beltline community of Calgary for way too fucking long. And driving the residents and businesses of that neighborhood absolutely bug fucks. And the police are like, but guy, we have to make sure they have their right to protest, which is a right that they're pretty selective on how they go about enforcing. But, you know, white people talking about freedom, that's a protest the cops can get behind. And it's just, we just put in an injunction that said, like, you fucking can't do this. You have to stop. You are terrorizing this neighborhood. And it's to the point where, like, the counselor for that area, they're the sort of the MLA for that area, was talking about it and was like, yeah, the people, they're not calling the police anymore because they just know that there's nothing that's happening. They get rape threats if they're women walking around and they have a mask on. They get violent threats. They get screamed at. They get harassed. It's just perpetual, and there's honking like all day, which I know the easiest thing to do is go, oh, it's a little bit of honking. But no, it's fucking not. It's when the outside of your house is essentially this extremely loud, extremely dangerous area, you don't get a lot of peace. So it's shitty. And our cops have done nothing except for the protecting of the protesters, these freedom convoy people, who are essentially at this point, it's safe to say, the only thing they're really protesting is that the democratically elected leaders be deposed. That's probably not the best look, but our cops are fine with that because our cops are, right-wing pricks like all cops. And the end result is the people in the Beltline have been terrorized and the cops have done nothing. So now that there's this injunction, apparently there's a heavy police presence. And frankly, I still don't see the cops doing anything. The cops really hate cracking skulls when it's the status quo, when it's white men and white women standing in the street screaming for, Canada's wonderful. Let's make it wonderfuler. That's a thing that doesn't really generally bring about a lot of problems with the police. If it was other people, well, that's a different story. Anyway, so yeah, my thoughts are with you, and I hope that the Beltline community finally gets a break, because they fucking need it. Anyways, Cain Velasquez. So Cain Velasquez killed a guy. And I was like, ooh, that's not awesome. Shot him. And then I found out more about the story. And as I understand it right now, Cain Velasquez shot a guy who he suspects or knows, I'm not sure which, to be a child molester. And the reaction that everyone seems to have is that child molesters should be killed, murdered, deadified immediately, and it's just a net positive to the world. And I think I totally get why people feel that way. I will never be like, no, child molesters are people too, and maybe we need to consider them as part of the LGBTQ rainbow. No. Pedophilia is garbage. It is not something that we can allow or encourage. It should be always rooted out wherever possible, because that's the fucking wild, wild world. But I don't think that having people randomly shooting each other in the street is necessarily the best way to go about fixing the problem. So essentially, then more details came out, and I think, let me see if I can find something real quick on the interwebs that'll help define where the story currently sits. All right, where's my window? There it is. All right, Cain Velasquez. What happened to Cain Velasquez? Yeah. So, former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. I can't see my screen because why would I want to do that? Denied bail in an attempted murder case. And when he was denied bail, a lot of people were like, but wait, you're going to let some pedophile out roaming the street and Cain Velasquez is denied bail? Yeah, because the concept of why you're being denied bail is really about whether or not you're a threat to reoffend. And I think this is the case here. So, former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez was denied bail Monday in his attempted murder case. Judge Shalina Brown of Santa Clara County Superior Court said the risk is too great to let Velasquez out on bail because of the extreme recklessness of the retired fighter's actions. Velasquez's next court date is April 12th, per Holly Baird, head of communications for Velasquez, Garajos, and Garajos' legal team. Velasquez cannot request bail again unless the district attorney adds or drops charges, per Baird. It is clear to this court that there is a clear and convincing evidence that there is a substantial likelihood that release would result in great bodily injury, not just to the named complaining witnesses in this case, but to Santa Clara residents at large, Brown said. This case involves allegations of extreme recklessness to human life. Velasquez, 39, was arrested after allegedly chasing down the man, Harry Eugene Goularte, who was being charged with molesting a young relative of Velasquez and shooting a gun into the Galarte's vehicle, per the Santa Clara County District Attorney. Another man in the vehicle, Galarte's stepfather, Paul Bender, was hit by one of the gunshots in his arm and torso. Bender suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Oh, my bad. I thought it was... Again, I'm learning. I thought it was actually murder and that he had killed the stepfather. My bad. I were wrong there. Is there anybody out there who would say to a father that this is not what you should do? Velasquez attorney Mark Garagos said outside the courthouse Monday, per Cron 4. Is there anybody out there who finds it beyond the pale that a father was not consulted when they released the perpetrator back into the public with $0 bail, yet they're holding Cain on no bail? This is why people are disgusted, and rightfully so, with the criminal justice system. Last Wednesday, Velasquez was formally charged with attempted murder and 10 other gun-related charges by Santa Clara County District Attorney, facing more than 20 years of jail time if convicted. Okay, so essentially, not quite exactly as I had thought, but essentially what we're at is we've got a former MMA heavyweight champion who took a gun, saw a guy who is being charged with having sexually assaulted someone who was believed to be in Velasquez's family, and Velasquez did the take the law into their own hands thing and shot into the car, injuring the stepfather, but not killing. Certainly trying to do a murder, but failing. And so I think it's important to understand that, like, it's good that the system is here. These are the frustrating things where we feel a certain way and we go, I want the world to be different. I want the person to be punished. And we have this idea that there is no possible rehabilitation for sexual offenders, and that if you are a sexual predator, you will harm again. And there's good reason to believe that. Like, I come to this from a very different place than a lot of people. I lived with a woman for many years who was still my best friend, but at the time we were even more. And she grew up in the shadow of a violent attack that had happened. Like most women, she has also had her share of really not awesome experiences. But in this particular case, when she was, I think, around 3 or 4, her cousin Kimmy, who was at the time 5 or 6, was picked up by a fellow in the downtown, or not downtown, in the South Calgary area. A fellow who had been actively engaged in sexual violence against a variety of people, many times, had never been caught. And he took Kimmy to his house, and he did. He had intended to molest her, and then realized that she knew where he lived, and was like, "Oh shit!" So, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he did not molest her. He instead killed her, and then dumped her body. So this was the childhood my friend grew up in, and we obviously spoke a great deal about this rather horrendous experience, and the brutality of what that does to those around, all that kind of stuff, like to the family and things. So I do have a very soft spot for the idea of retribution in a situation like this, from the idea that we need to do something to stop this evil, vile man. And I agree. And he was arrested, and I felt very frustrated because, he got arrested and went to jail, and now, he's old and time has marched on, and he's no longer in jail. At least when last I heard, they had moved him into a halfway house for the purposes of his, slowly re-entering society. It had been I think he served 25 years or something, so it had been a while. And while in the halfway house, he was found to be in possession of child porn material, or they didn't specifically say, but they said, DVDs containing content that he was specifically barred from enjoying by the courts in conditions of his parole. So one can assume it is something along the lines of child pornography or whatever. That did not revoke his parole. It did not result in new charges. And as I understand the world, he is now out in the community doing community things. There is a part of me that would love to see retribution enacted. There is a part of me that says this man was not rehabilitated by the system, potentially could not be rehabilitated by the system, and it would have been better to just kill him. That is a part of me that is very human, but it is a part of me that is very wrong. Yes, I am Canadian. Welcome, my friend. Two wrongs don't make a right. So often they do not, unfortunately. It would be a lot easier in the world if that were the case, because we could just go, aha, there are two wrongs, therefore, justice. But unfortunately, it's a little more complicated than that. The truth is, my policy and my perspective on this is probably not a very popular one. And that is that I think the part of the reason that we cannot rehabilitate these people is because we have approached this from the perspective of their damage is impossible to fix, and we sort of have thrown up our hands as a community and said, yeah, done, just go to jail, just take them out of the situation, which I 100% support. Removing them from the ability to cause further harm, definitely good. The system doesn't do rehabilitation though, Jim. I know, but the system fucking should, because this is where it comes down to the question of what is the purpose of our penal system. If it is simply to punish, then okay. I mean, if that's the world we live in, I'm okay with that, and I will accept that that is the answer. If the purpose of the system is to rehabilitate, which I think is a lot better, that is a positive, because then you are doing hopefully a net positive in the long term. And then there's the concept of it being, we require justice, which would have involved him being murdered as some kind of way to pay the family back for the fact that their child was murdered. And unfortunately, my personal take is that's not how the world is. But people can disagree. Punish, not rehabilitate. And to me, my personal take on it is this: I think that the prison system should be to protect society. I am not a fan of prisons. I am certainly not a fan of prisons for nonviolent offenders. And I think that we are far too quick to try to put someone in jail and throw away the key, especially for things like drug offenses that are frankly quite stupid. Damaged people, are they worth the trouble? Well, I think they are, and I'll explain why. In my opinion, I believe that they are a fountain of opportunity for understanding brains that diverge from what we would consider normal. I personally believe, and it's a theory that I think is not an uncommon one, but one that I can't point to studies. But I believe that people who are like this, there are causes, and some of them are physical causes, some of them are environmental causes and experiential causes. So, for example, I read a fantastic book about neuroplasticity, because I am a nerd, and that is what nerds do. And the book on neuroplasticity was talking about a particular incident where there was this dude, and dude had, he came home from work one day and was like, hey, I have a headache. Oh, and also, look at all the wonderful child porn I've brought home. I'm going to go read it now. And his wife and kids were like, qu'est-ce que fuck? What in the shit is happening? And he was completely unabashed. Like, yeah, I like this now. This is who I am. I'm just going to read some kitty porn. I hope you don't mind if I read some kitty porn. Not hiding it, not nothing. And these headaches continued to grow. And of course, obviously, I'm bringing up the headaches for a reason. There was a correlation. They did some, because the headaches were intense, they ended up doing some evaluations and CAT scans and stuff, and found that he had a small niggle-sized tumor. I think it was niggle-sized tumor on a part of his brain. They cut it out, and suddenly he was not into that kiddie porn anymore, and was grossly, morbidly embarrassed at the fact that this had been a thing that he had done. I don't know, this is presented. I don't know the particulars of the case, but it's an interesting thing to think that there could be like legitimate physiological causes of these kinds of things, which fits my worldview, because I do believe that we are essentially biomechanical computers that have, in some cases, we have damage or flaws in our wiring that cause us to be problematic with behaviors like pedophilia. I don't feel like that's just the way Jesus made a person. I feel like our computers are broken, and we should understand them enough to be able to fix them. Whether that is through talk therapy, which I don't think has been traditionally very successful on the subject, or if it's through whether it's neuroscientific surgery or drug therapy or whatever. Like, if there's ways that we can find the root cause and address it, and potentially see it coming before it happens in other cases, then I would call that a net good. And that's why I say it is worth the trouble, because we won't understand it if we keep ignoring or killing the people who are doing this behavior. We only understand the behavior if we can study it. And I'm not opposed to studying it as a post-mortem, if that's the case, but then we got to do that, right? That's my hot take on it. And this always sort of stems into that whole question of the map thing, which I almost shudder to talk about. I am by no means an expert, but the basic idea is that there's people that are proposing, maybe referring to people as, I'm face palming as well, having that distinction between someone who is actively engaged in pedophilia versus someone who is suffering from attraction to children and can therefore get some help is an interesting thing. Devil, fiery hand. Yes, the devil's fiery hand. I don't understand what you mean by that, but yeah, it's super fucking annoying. But I felt like I had to say, whether it's trying to destigmatize the thing so people can get help, or if it's addressing it from a post arrest rehabilitational perspective or whatever. Like, something's got to change, because we're not getting any better. And the other thing that I would say is I want to see a change in the system, so that if you are, I don't know what American law is like, but if you're Canadian and you are convicted of certain crimes, they can basically petition to have you listed as what is the term? I think they call it the dangerous offender status, where you are your sentencing gets changed to at the Queen's leisure. Now, obviously, the Queen doesn't preside over these things, but the idea being that if this is the kind of crime that you are guilty of, and you serve your crime, and you are still considered to be too dangerous to let out, then you just don't get fucking let out. I don't know why this isn't a thing that we do all the time with people who are serial sexual predators or prolifically violent. The people, every time they're like, yeah, we've got a person, we're letting out of jail, we're really sure they're going to reoffend, so heads up. That's like, fuck it. Why would you let them out of jail then if there's been no rehabilitation and and it's just been someone like biding their time till they can offend again? Fucking don't let them out. Brand them as a dangerous offender until it takes. What would Jesus do? What would Rhombus do? Yes. We're going to have our daily Rhombus later today. Yeah, I see. I picked up on it before. I even got the R equals Rhombus on my screen. We're gonna do this later, but we do have the weekly Rhombus, which will be super exciting. I have a topic for what the weekly Rhombus will be. It's gonna be good. If you're watching and you're not sure what the hell we're talking about, it's a bit of an in joke with the chat, because we were going over one of those Sigma male videos. What makes a Sigma? Sigmas drive fancy cars but don't care about mileage. Like that, those stupid fucking things. So we were like, I'm a Rhombus male. Rhombuses are different. So we're going to do the weekly Rhombus, where we talk about the important criteria to be a Rhombus male. or female. You can be a rhombus female. You can be a rhombus whatever the fuck you want. You can be a rhombus non-gender identifying person. No judgments. Rhombus is rhombus. Rhombus do as rhombus do. Anyways, I'm done talking about the shitty topic, but I just felt like with the Cain Velasquez thing, I was like, I'm gonna talk about because there's this whole mentality that we have as a society that says we should be like actively, being like immediate retributive justice and stuff. And yeah, I get it. I feel it. There's a John Oliver video about like from last week tonight about the death penalty, and it's the same kind of thing where he's like, I get it. We want to see people punished like that. And part of what makes this a good society is that even though we all want this, we don't do it because it's actually not good. In this case, it's not even a question of not good as much as a wasted opportunity to try and get ahead of this fucking thing. But that's my 2 cents. I am Canadian. What do you think of my little friend here? I drew him on the Facebooks a while back using one of those challenges that was like draw yourself and using the shitty app on your phone. So that's what I came up with, and I love him. Brian Jean will fix it. Don't worry. Yes, Brian Jean will fix everything. Brian Jean, if people are not familiar, was let's look at Brian Jean because I don't want to like half speak and get things wrong like I did with the Cain Velasquez business. Brian Jean. Okay, let's look at he's got to have a Wikipedia just so we get the broad strokes. Brian Jean's Wikipedia. Brian Michael Jean, MLA, born February 3rd, 1963, is a Canadian politician who has served as the member of the Legislative Assembly for Fort McMurray-Lac-La-Biche since March 16th, 2022. He was leader of the opposition in the past and the last leader of the Wild Rose Party from 2015 to 2017 before the merger with the UCP. Jean was a member of the Parliament with the Conservative Party from 2004 to 2014 before entering provincial politics. So if you're not familiar with any of these terms, the Wild Rose Party was a provincial party. Was it provincial or federal? It was a federal party that essentially they wanted to raise awareness of Albertan issues and stuff, but it appealed a lot to the Freedom folks and the Maverick Party folks as well as regular conservatives. At this point, I think the Maverick Party is much more like they're a separatist party for Alberta, and I feel pretty confident in saying that they're much more homogenous in their stupid ass viewpoints, and they're down on the street right now protesting and hopefully getting beat up by cops. But I feel like that's a dream too far. Anyways, the Wild Rose was like this alternative to the Conservative Party, and it was a shitty alternative. I don't remember who was running what at the time or whatever, but it was bad. Anyways, Brian Jean was leader of the opposition, last leader of the Wild Rose Party before the merger with the UCP, which is the current primary federal Conservative Party. There's also the People's Party of Canada, or PPC, which is more like your Maverick Party. Although realistically, like, you know, with how polarized Canada is these days, pretty much you're either super right wing or you're a centrist, and then there's like the fringe of us on the outsides going like, we're human too. So Brian Jean, handsome buck of a fella. He is now going to be throwing his ample-sized man hat into the ring to be the leader of the Alberta Conservative Party, the UCP, or United Conservative Party. And he's basically like, you know, if you had a dog that you didn't like and you didn't want to like get rid of it because that's kind of cruel, like the only way you can get rid of it is, you know, to put it down or something, and You don't want to do that, but at the same time, you just don't love that dog, but he's always fucking there. That's Brian Jean. That's his political career in a nutshell. A shell of nuts. Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan at all of Brian Jean. Kitty Jerkface. Just pop it in quickly before I get ready to go counter protest in the Beltline. Love you, Kitty. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Do you remember when there was moderate conservatives? That was a sweet 5 minutes. And the funny thing is, like, that's what I grew up with because I'm fucking old. You know, Lougheed era conservatives were very much politically, like, on a par with the NDP, the supposedly left-wing progressive socialist party in Alberta, which we recently had for 4 years in power. Like, that was conservatism. And then it was the Ralphus of the Kleins that came along and just, like, full on, let's you know, push the libertarian button, let's push the religious conservative button, and people ate it up. The constitutional freakos, everybody just like, yeah, let's be conservative and also as shitty as possible. PPC is just UCP with more racism. Yes. And with like guys who are no-fap people who are like members. PPC is just creepy as all fuck. Progressive conservative. Yeah, the old progressive conservative party was at least more progressive than the current rabid conservative parties. Oh my, I was but a lad when King Ralph was in power. Yes, I was but a lad when King Ralph was our drunk of a mayor. And he was sort of beloved. Honestly, I think I speak for all Calgarians when I say when he emerged into his sobriety and became a provincial politician, what we got was not what we expected. You know, he went from being a very laid back, you know, the guy you would have a beer with, to being an utter prick. And, you know, like stories of him doing things like going into he used to hang out at the Louis and get drunk all the time. And then all of a sudden he's going into drop-in center and like flicking bills at homeless people and being like, get a fucking job, you fucking bum. Like, whoa, dude, who hurt you? Just a fucking monster of a person. But he pretended to balance the budget by allowing the fact that there were ridiculously, unexpectedly high oil and gas revenues from a surge in pricing that no one expected. That meant that we could balance the budget, and therefore he was a visionary leader who was great at things. And he still managed to just completely ruin every single public sector, which has just been, ever since, has been the job. Yeah, Ralph Bucks, the unofficial bribe of the Ralph Klein administration. Ralph Bucks, where he sent a check for like $500 to everybody that was a registered taxpayer in Alberta. Yeah, Ralph was a fucking monster. But now we have Brian Jean, and I feel very confident that where every other time we've had a conservative leader, that they've been dog shit, but this time's got to be different. It's the gambler's fallacy, right? I have flipped heads and tails, and it's been tails every time. It can't be that it's a two-tailed coin. It has to be that it's duty owed by the universe. That this time it's gonna be heads. That's just how things are. BJ for short. Yes. And I do think he would be a fairly short BJ. I feel like, you know, looking at him, well, maybe that's not fair. You know, he looks like a guy who might have a few skeletons in his closet and probably, you know, has a prepaid abortion card somewhere or two. We're about to get the big BJ. Yep, that is entirely possible. I hope ridiculously that Rachel Notley's NDP party will come back into power when we have our next election, but I'm not counting on it. Just not counting on it. Redhead. Yeah, don't go sassing the gingers. I know it's hard to tell on the camera, but I got a tinge of the ginge in my minge, so we're out there, man. We're out there and we're spreading like a ginger-themed cancer. Oh, coffee's good. How's everyone in chat doing today? No hope for the Nate. I didn't say it, but hey, welcome. I love you. I hope you're doing well. I thank you. I actually, No Hope for the Nate did a really good review of my band's most recent video recently, and I thoroughly enjoyed the review. So that was entirely cool. Yeah, made my heart happy. I'm doing well. Just starting my day with some yammers. Yeah, gotta love the unrelenting yammerings. It's funny because like I started this channel and like that was gonna be the thing, and I almost never refer to it as yammering anymore. I think that was just a moment in time, but it works. It's fun. I like the idea of unrelenting yammerings, but I also feel like every time you say to somebody, "Oh yeah, I totally, I have a YouTube channel at unrelentingyammerings.youtube.scoobidly-whoop," they're just gonna look at me with dead eyes. It's the weekend. I'm hyped for my adventure today. Otherwise, I'm gonna be a sloth and just relax. Totally get that. I'm doing this, and then I think after that, I'm going to try and go for a run, which has probably been like, if I'm being honest, it's probably been a year and a half since I've been like doing anything for my physical health. So it's probably about fucking time. Slothing has been a real problem for me lately. And I think it's just out of the intense ennui that comes from life in a pandemic. So I'm not going to like beat myself up for it, probably because that sounds like effort and I've been lazy. But I'm definitely hoping that I can get out on the cement. Oh, server connection dropped and restored. Am I still streaming? It looks like I'm still streaming. I don't see drop frames. I don't know what happened there. Let me know if you guys can still hear and see me or if anything happened, because I don't see anything on my end that says I dropped, but then it said disconnected, reconnected. You're good? No issues? Okay, good. That was just strange. My chat was like, you're disconnected. Hey, you're reconnected. And I was like, what? Anyways, it'll be really good to get out there and go for a run. And yeah, fingers crossed, here's hoping that this is the start of me actually doing change things for myself, because I kind of need to. I ain't getting younger. I ain't building more dirt, and I ain't getting younger. So I kind of need to get my shit together and do some stuff. Yeah, I'm hoping that. And so, Kitty, I hope that your weekend is fantastic and that your adventures are super positive and safe, and that you get to giggle as right-wing chuds get smacked around by cops. I genuinely don't see that happening. I genuinely see the cops. They're just. We know what side they're on, and they only crack skulls when those skulls are the skulls they want to crack, and that's that's shitty and brutal, but it is what it is. It's the cop way. All right, well, I'm going to take a quick pause now, and I'm going to take my first break as I jump outside. Oh, what do we got here? Let me just see. I trust you, Kitty. Let's copy and paste. And we'll see. That's the line at Central Memorial. Oh, we have video. Okay, I'm going to pause this and fade over, and then I need to make sure it's not muted, and we'll move it back. God hates Trudeau. Like, do these people even do they understand that they are like literally the Westboro Baptist Church of politics? Evil is a cancer. I don't know if you noticed that, but evil is a cancer. It's a cancer. Better than evil being a cancer, I'll tell you that. Which probably would have made more sense. But yeah, cancer. The Liberal government of Canada is pure evil. We kill cancer. Remember, they're gonna kill somebody. That's not upsetting at all. UN Agenda 21 is criminal Satanism. If you're not familiar, Agenda 21. Let's just go. For fuck's sake. Agenda 21. Sustainable development. So a non-binding action plan of the United Nations with regard to sustainable development, product of the Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. So yeah, that definitely feels like, it's criminal Satanism. Lies, lies, lies is Satan's biggest weapon. Actually, I would say that Satan's biggest weapon are people who weaponize misinformation. But that's just me. Maybe I'm foolish. All right, let's keep going and see what else we got here. Oh, the Canada-wide Freedom Party. If you're looking for a sign, this could be it. Oh, he's funny. I bet he's selling signs. Oh my God, he is. Oh, he's probably giving them away because of that. But like, CBC, CTV, global, evil, fake news. Liberal government is public enemy number one. So this is about mandates, right? This is about freedom to not have to wear a mask when you're out in public. I just want to make sure that I really understand very clearly that the reason that no one is allowed currently to leave their homes is because of CBC, CTV, and Global being evil fake news. 100% satanic. Satan hates the truth, which is funny because Satan was the person who brought knowledge. The Freedom Party, Canada-wide. Where do we hear words like Canada-wide? Like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, like white pride worldwide, that kind of shit. That seems to be where you hear the that idea. But maybe I'm oversimplifying. Trudeau is 100% satanic. He is not 36% satanic, as previously reported by the evil fake news CBC. He is 100% satanic on both his mother's and father's side, because of course his father was secretly Fidel Castro. That's what they'll tell you. That's what the news media won't tell you. The globalists, Jeff Bezos, won't tell you. You just have to love a good war. That says a lot, doesn't it? I wonder what side of the current conflict these people are on. Dare I say, Russia? God hates cowards. God hates cowards because God loves it when, in the Bible, it's the story of Mahemeth. Mahemeth was like, God, I feel angry. What should I do? And God was like, Mahemeth, fuck him up. Fuck him up right now. You go and you just fuck everybody up. God hates cowards. Don't be a loser. This is war. Our current war. Sorry, I'm now putting it all together. Because of the subhuman comment. Our war is against the Liberal Party, and that we should be warring against the democratically elected government. Oh, what am I? I'm not blocking anyone. What the hell? I hit a button. I was just trying to get over to my chat, goddammit. No, they think they're saving people, no cap. Oh my God, XD, these sides. Yeah, right? The things they believe are wild. This is like Westboro Baptist level not insanity. I'm trying to be better about my words. Westboro Baptist fantasy land. Zero tolerance, zero trust, zero mercy. Jugmeat, and he spelled his name wrong, and I guarantee you that was accidental. Jugmeat backstabber sing. Or sorry, Signha. Because that's how you spell. It's a good thing that no one judges the conservatives on their spelling. Trudeau is the real terrorist. Says a terrorist. That's neat. That's weird that he doesn't see himself as a terrorist. Parasites with poor spelling at war with the taxpayer. Taxpayers are being blood-sucked to death. I think this is actually, it's over. I literally was just like, I cannot watch any more of this. This is just fucking... It's like Tiny Toon Adventures of the mind. Like, these people are so fucked. And this is what these are our countrymen. I saw a thing on the news the other day that was interesting, and they were talking about the latest Angus Reid polls, and they talked about the fact that of all the premiers, only Jason Kenney did not get a big spike. Like in Eastern Canada, they had like 80. I think they even had like some premiers who hit 90%. Tansy Sugar Ray, it's good to see you. I think they hit like 90% popularity or approval rating in some of the provinces. Like, and almost every, your Twitch is frozen. I'm still not dropping frames. Oh, it's okay. Almost every province, the premier had some kind of a spike. Kenny stayed at 30% the whole way through, or thereabouts. And the other thing that they brought up that I think that relates to what we're talking about is how most provinces are very clearly either the mandates went too far too fast, or the mandates didn't go far enough anywhere near soon enough. The only province that is like 50-50 split, and with no like mean stuff, it's just like super polar. It is like either people saying the government did nothing and they deserve to be punished for having done nothing, or the government were a totalitarian monster regime that destroyed the entire world and must be stopped. And like that's our discourse these days. That's what Alberta is. I seriously, there's a part of me that strongly wants to leave because I'm so tired of just the stupidity. And I mean, I got no excuse to be tired and no reason to be tired. I'm an old man, but I'm still a young man. I still do good. But it's fucking draining. And it's draining for me as someone whose only problems in life are I'm a lefty white guy. Alberta is a weird province. I come to realize this more and more as time goes on. Why is the most affordable province the most insane? I don't know that I'd say. I think Saskatchewan is still more affordable than Alberta, but there's and probably Manitoba is even more affordable. But the balance is that you have to actually work in those places, and that's a little bit more difficult. This is the only place where you can like get a decent job and also still starve to death. And I literally don't understand how. I've been saying this forever. I've been saying like, I saw on Facebook the other day, like from 4 years ago, I was like, what do you think the end goal is if we're going to continue to raise all of our costs of living without raising wages, in some cases lowering wages or at least stagnating wages? How does this end? Because this is capitalism. When people talk about late stage capitalism, I don't know if all of capitalism is failing or not. I have no way of knowing. But like, how in the fuck do we not recognize that the problem isn't the goddamn traitor terrorist Justin Trudeau? The problem isn't mandates. The problem isn't anything. The problem is fucking capitalism. And I'm not saying like, I'm a socialist. I do believe in evolving our economy in different ways. But I mean, even if we don't, just put some fucking checks and balances in, right? This is only going to get worse. If we don't do something, then automation is going to leave us all unemployed. And the only people who will have money are the people who own the automating systems. Like this should not be a shock to anybody. We have to do things to change the way things work. I just don't understand why that's hard. I want to move, but I can't afford to. I can work anywhere in Canada if I do choose to move. My company is awesome. That is fantastic. Yeah, I'm literally in the place of like, for the time being, I have a really good situation where I'm at. It ain't a perfect house by any stretch, but it works for me. It holds me and my kids pretty good. Kitty, have a great rest of your weekend and stay safe. I will stay for the next little while, but I don't know what the future holds. And I'm a lifelong Calgarian. I moved here when I was two fucking years old. My first words were, really? Winnipeg? Moved here. I've been here ever since. I never imagined a situation where I would even entertain the idea of leaving. But here we are. It's becoming so fucking polarized here, and I don't think that's true for the rest of the country. I just feel like maybe this ain't the place for me anymore. The constant threat of right-wing bullshit here, and with no no comeuppance, no recourse, no nothing. You know, it's troubling. All right. I said I was going to take a break. Now I'm going to take a break. I'm going to throw on a little bit of... this song is actually called Ribnar. And I wrote it for Rob Knorr, who will never hear it because I'm nobody. But it's just, yeah. It's just some of my shitty, silly, computerized music that I do for when I take breaks. So here we go. I'll be right back. I have returned. Get the thing off my face. Why is there a thing on my face? I know. I blew it into non-existence. Chad's been chatting while I was gone. PPC signs showed up on lawns in YYJ for crying out loud. Really? That's YYJ's Victoria, I believe. Like, what the fuck? Hard to remember, but 40% don't vote for the assholes. 60% Kenny. Jesus. Yeah, we... Alberta's a province that has always been super pro-conservative. Like, as far back as I can remember, there have been conservative governments. Longer than I have lived, there have been conservative, with one brief window of pleasure when the NDP had 4 years of running, and then they got voted out. And the conservatives, they just do that Big Ten conservative thing. They know that there's a lot of Christians here. They hype the talk about abortion, even though that's got nothing to do with provincial politics. They know they got a lot of libertarians here, so they talk a lot about small government without actually doing small... Actually, that's not fair. They're trying to do small government right now in the sense of privatizing healthcare. If you're wondering what that noise is in the background, I made the eldest live-in child brew some more coffee, because coffee good. And the destruction of the public education system also is a big thing that they're working on. But when it comes to, like, I don't know, police, they're really, really opposed to small government. Yeah, it's a joke. And honestly, like, in Alberta, you're not going to win talking about defund the police. Even if you talk about defund to refund and you use better words or whatever, people hear it and it's a conservative place and they shut down. They're like, wait, you don't want police? Well, I want police. I'm not a complete police abolitionist. I want some police because there are circumstances that you need to have, in my opinion, police officers. When you have, for example, a serial killer, I don't think sending a social worker to arrest a serial killer is going to be very effective. Call me silly. But I feel like we use police way too liberally across the... liberal. That's the wrong word, but it's the right word, but it's the wrong word. We use them way too much across the spectrum of social problems, and we get what we pay for. And oh, do we pay? Like everywhere else, our biggest ticket item on any budget is law enforcement. And the law enforcement is exactly the same as everywhere else, where they focus on what they call high crime communities, which is hilarious because, it's not like rich white kids living in fucking, wealthy communities aren't smoking drugs and not just weed, but, doing the same fucking shit. When I was a kid, I never saw cocaine until I saw rich people doing cocaine at a party I was at. The poor kids I knew, the bad kids smoked weed. Ooh. The idea of cocaine was like the furthest thing from my mind, except for the rich kids. Kids go to poor neighborhoods to do drugs. No, man, the rich kids do drugs in their neighborhood, which is safer for them because they know there's no cops. They don't have to worry about running into problems. Not only that, but it really depends on what you consider crimes, right? If we're going to say that drug offenses are nonviolent crimes, which I think is a very, very reasonable take to make, then let's look at other nonviolent crimes like, I don't know, wage theft. I bet a lot of wage theft happens in the poor communities, right? No, it probably happens in the rich communities by the rich people living in the rich communities. But we don't go after wage theft, so we don't factor those numbers in, and we go, oh yeah, boy, those rich people neighborhoods sure are safe. Well, they're full of criminals, just different kinds of criminals. That's an important thing. Food ghetto, anyone? I don't know what you mean by food ghetto. What's this class system BS you're pushing, Lefty? Well, it turns out, I don't mean to be the one to startle you about this. I am Canadian, because I know this is all brand new hot takes, but it turns out class is real, and I don't have any, but there are other people that have class, and they're wealthy, and they get away with murder, and that's sometimes literally, like the what was the famous case here, rich socialite shoots her husband. I can't remember her name for the life of me. Oh my god, this was like huge news for the longest time. Rich socialite shoots her ex-husband, and then says, "Oh, I went into a fugue state," and I think she served 6 months in a mental hospital, where they were able to very, very quickly and astutely ensure that she was fine. Everything was good. No need to keep her locked up for the murdering of people. That's a thing. I'm all for rehabilitative justice, and for the idea that maybe we need to reassess how we do sentencing for things. So, like I was talking about earlier with the whole idea of you don't get out until you're not going to reoffend. And in this, Dorothy Jowdry, is that right? Let me just make sure. Jowdry, I think. Let me see if I can find that on the old YouTube phone. Or not YouTube, you know what I mean. Oh, hit play on the craziness video. Dorothy Jowdry. Oh, she's dead now. Deeply saddened by mom's untimely death. Mom passed away, blah, 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 blah. That's not going to tell me what I need. Yeah, socialite who shot oil tycoon husband from the Globe and Mail. Yeah, so are there, or so you'd be okay putting Putin on a rehab program, or are there limits? Well, yeah, in a world that is perfect, like I'm describing, which of course is not the world we live in, what makes Putin dangerous? He is the leader, the elected leader, quote unquote, of Russia. He has access to a massive military. He is completely off his kettle when it comes to being a dangerous narcissist. So yeah, I would put him in a rehabilitation program, and I wouldn't let him out until such time as we felt that he wasn't a risk to reoffend and bring the world to World War III. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a solid take. Realistically, I'm not talking about like everyone gets to do basket weaving. I'm talking about, violent criminals should definitely be sequestered away from society. Drug users and drug offenders, all right. I don't even think those should be criminal charges. But if we're going to put people in jail, we better be putting them in a jail setting where we can understand and work with and hopefully get to a place where we are comfortable letting them back out. But until we are, they shouldn't be back out. Dorothy Jowdry was unlikely to reoffend simply because she wasn't a hardened killer. She was somebody who killed her ex-husband, and she only had the one. I'm not saying she couldn't reoffend, but I think it's a fairly reasonable thing to say. You know what? What are the odds that she's going to kill somebody? Probably pretty goddamn small. Putin needs to have someone in his ranks treat him like Rasputin. I don't like that I think that way, but I don't see any good coming from him continuing on. Yes, unchecked evil is. It ain't gonna suddenly just go. You know what? I'm doing evil. I should stop. And I feel like the people around him are the only hope there is, because every time there's an election, he wins handily by murdering his opponents and whatever else. Sign of a good democratically elected leader. He has the reins of power, and he abuses the reins of power, and until he is stopped from doing so, he will continue to do so. This ain't a shock to anybody. If we're talking about, I love indigenous cultures have done this a lot lately, where they've been exploring using indigenous, I don't know if it's like using indigenous culture or what have you, but like rehabilitative justice for people with certain charges that will go to a non-jail type of environment, but it's still like a jail type of environment, but it's inside indigenous communities and with a focus on reconnecting and healing. I think that is fucking brilliant. And, you know, let me be the white guy who says, wow, turns out indigenous people have a better answer than we do. That's fucking awesome, and we should be emulating that. That kind of rehabilitation has been proved to be really effective. There are exceptions. Psychopaths, we haven't figured out how to rehabilitate yet. There is ways to do it, I guarantee you, but we're not there yet. And I'm fine with the idea that a person who is a psychopath, who has acted in psychopathic manner and broken, you know, violated laws and put the public at danger, should be put in a place where they are isolated from hurting other people until such time as we feel comfortable that they won't do that again. I'm definitely biased when it comes to domestic abuse and domestic murder. My father's 25 life sentence ends in 2026, and I still just want him to remain where he is until the end of time. But I also believe he is not a rehabilitated person, but rather someone who knows how to maintain appearances. And that is the rub, right? Part of the problem we have is, how do you trust that rehabilitation has been rehabilitative? Are you seriously suggesting we take our prison budgets and put it into doing good? Damn, Jim, you're so close to not being Rhombus. I would argue, you know what? We're going to switch for a moment. We're going to have our Rhombus moment because it fits right now. So welcome to the Weekly Rhombus. Today's Weekly Rhombus. Ooh, and I clicked the wrong thing. One sec. Today's Weekly Rhombus has a particular theme, and that theme is consistency. Consistency. All right. So welcome to the daily, or the weekly rhombus. I said daily, but welcome to the weekly rhombus. I feel that it is important to be consistent. I feel that we should be looking to the things that we believe and the things that we do and the things that we hold dear. And we should try to be consistent with applying those, not just to the things that matter to us, but to things in general. So, for example, if someone believes in small government, but they want to increase government overreach for police, for example, that is not consistent with their core values. I believe that we need to strive for consistency. And rhombuses, we do. We strive to be consistent. And the corollary to that is that we also accept and learn from our human failings. Rather than freaking out and throwing the towel in or anything else, when we are inconsistent, we go, oops, I need to do better. This has been the Weekly Rhombus. Consistency. That was fun. I've never done that before. Rhombus walk their talk, baby. Rhombus on, Jim. Absolutely. I would say rhombus is roll on hard, but rhombus isn't really a good rolling structure. You know, there's a lot of flatness. So, yes, that was the Weekly Rhombus. And I thank I Am Canadian for that, because that whole thing came directly from I Am Canadian's suggestion to do so. No hope for the Nate. I can't help but notice that you're not a mod on this channel, so I'm going to fix that. If I can figure out how to fix that really quick. If I click this, I think that just made you a mod. So yeah, if I ever get like hate rated or anything, yeah, you can deal with that shit. I consistently work hard and fuck up so that when I fuck up, people know I worked hard, and when I work hard, people know I fucked up. I always say, I want to be able to preen a little bit about my successes and my wins. And as a result, I have to also take ownership of my losses and my failings. Otherwise, I'm just a one-sided jerk bragging about shit and never taking accountability. But I don't want to be that. I want to be a consistent person. I want to be able to say, look, I did good. So that means I have to also be able to say, look, I did bad, and I'm going to do better. I think that's important. All right, I'm going to do a thing now. And this is just an idea that popped into my head the other day. So I'm going to show you these 4 people. So these 4 people are Chadminton, Sally, Gilbert, and Little Polly. Now, Chadminton, his real name is Chad. He's a strapping buck of a fella. He's got, look at those muscles he's got. I drew his muscles on. Good muscles. He's good at all the sports. They call him Chadminton because he's like legendary Chad at badminton, but also his name is Chad. Unfortunately for Chadminton, he comes from a poor family. But you know, he's a likable fella. In fact, he's so likable, he formed a group that was originally called the Cool Dudes Club. Now, I'm being silly because once upon a time I was a member of a group called the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Club. A friend of mine's little sister, who is really ADHD, like wow ADHD, had created the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Club so that she could have her older brother and his friends were all part of the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Club. And it was part of how she coped with being socially isolated from being really bad ADHD, like really, really struggled with ADHD. Anyway, so Chadminton created the Cool Dudes Club. Sally's just cute as a gosh darn button. She comes from a wealthy family. She's a good dresser. And she's actually the reason that the Cool Dudes Club became the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Club. Gilbert is super smart. You can tell because he has glasses, and that's not a caricature at all. Gilbert is super smart, kind of funny looking, and he really doesn't know how to be a cool dude. He's definitely not a member of the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Club. But his dad owns Mega Corporation X, and therefore Gilbert has the cash. And then we have Little Polly. Little Polly is entirely based on me. He's a pretty average kid. He's funny, but not like, oh my God, you're so funny, we should hang out funny. He's never going to be a member of the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Clubs, but like they'll allow him to hang out. He's like an affiliate or an associate of the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Club. And, you know, he gets through. He gets by, right? I can really relate to our good friend Little Polly. So the reason I bring this up, people seem to have a real hard time figuring out the concept of privilege. So Chadminton, we would say Chadminton is privileged. He's super good. He's super healthy. He's stupid. I said stupid. He's super. He's super. He's handsome. He's got athletic skill. Doesn't have any money. So that's an area where he is not privileged, but he still has privilege. Sally has a whole pile of privilege. She's got money. She's cute as a button. All that kind of stuff. But Sally has something that makes her unprivileged, and that is a vagina. Gilbert is super smart, which should be considered a privilege, and in a lot of scenarios is, but privilege isn't applied universally across the board. Otherwise, the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Club would automatically have a rule that said you had to be a certain amount of smart to be cool. And Little Polly just you know, doesn't have a whole lot of privilege. We can actually talk about privilege and say that, for example, I as a white male have many privileges, despite that there are areas where I don't have privilege. It's like a thing that stacks on top of each other, depending on circumstances, depending on all these things. My privilege may or may not weigh in on a conversation or a situation. For example, I have many times, despite many privileges available and afforded to me, I have been in situations where I have been the lesser because I was at work with people who make more money than me, or dealing with people who feel smarter or better or whatever than me. And I have been less privileged in those moments and have felt that. That feeling part is the whole point. where we fail when we talk about privilege is we think about those times where we don't have privilege and we go, ah, but Jim, you say that I have privilege, and yet in this one instance I did not, therefore you're wrong. So what I'm saying is privilege ain't that easy. Privilege is essentially like a cumulative value of non-things and social constructs that builds up to define people. So, you know what? Chadminton, in my obvious example, Chadminton probably has the most privilege. He's got a willy, he's got muscles, he's handsome. Those are all things that are privilege. In a situation where they were going for a job in a tech company, for example, Gilbert might very well do a lot better. That doesn't mean Chadminton isn't privileged. It means in this scenario, Chadminton isn't privileged. And I feel like that's just the easiest way to explain privilege. It just dawned on me earlier this week, and I was like, I should draw a picture of people with different qualities. Chad has arm boobs. Oh, I am Canadian. That's just mean. Well, it's true, but you know, he's got the big muscles. He's like ripped and stuff. Chad couldn't afford a badminton net, so when he was young, he used the laundry line to practice. Exactly. I used to play tennis across the street from the tennis courts in my like across the street from my parents' house. There was tennis courts, and they were only for the members of the community association, and we were too poor to be members of the community association, so we didn't have toe tags that showed us to be members of the community association. So we played tennis against the fucking wall of the school that was attached to where the tennis courts were, and we were fine. We were always jealous because they had privilege that we didn't have, despite being all kinds of privileged. But a good example, yes. Chad couldn't afford a badminton net, so he used the laundry line. Sally's just gosh darn cute as a button. Words you'll never hear in real life. You know what? I would totally say that in real life. IRL. I would absolutely be like, oh, I am Canadian, as cute as a button. Bling. Hey, Polly, we tolerate you. Yes, that was actually the soundtrack of my childhood. We tolerate you. As I got older, I remember some of the cool kids in the Cool Dudes and Dudettes Club that was not really called that, but not the one that I was in. Some of the cool kids started to realize that I was actually kind of neat and kind of all right. And they started inviting me and a couple of my friends to what they called gully parties, because I lived near a gully, and they used to party in the gully. And they started to invite us. And we actually had like a little meeting. And this stands out, like I was in grade 8 or 9. Grade 9. This stands out substantially in my brain because we had this little meeting. Me, myself, Wes, and Eric. And Eric really wanted us to belong. Really wanted us to belong. Eric would eventually become one of the cool kids, would totally cut us off from his life, and his life just went to shit. So, Eric, if you're watching, sorry about your life, bud. Wes was unsure. He kind of, you know, the idea of hanging out with the cool kids wasn't really a big draw, but he wanted to not be a loser. He wanted to not be a pariah, and maybe it'd be all right. And I took the perspective of, you know what, these people have shit on us for so fucking long. Who cares if they think we're cool? I don't want to hang out with them. We do just fine hanging out by ourselves. And we had this conversation, and that's what we came up with, was we weren't going to go to the gully parties. And Wes and I didn't. Eric did, and that started the descent into his life going to hell. Believe it or not, he had a girl pregnant from hanging out in that sphere. Had a girl pregnant in high school. Had to drop out. All kinds of terrible stuff. And I feel bad for him, but only like, you know, a little bit. There's a lot more to it than just, I'm not going to tell someone's life story. But anyways, it was important to me that we just can, you know, be consistent. So yeah, hey, Paulie, we tolerate you. Sally has a what? Sally has a vagina. Also known as the hoo-hoo or lady bits. But Jim, privileges are earned. Most privileges are not earned, I would argue. And I know you're being facetious. A lot of people feel that their privilege is earned. But a lot of the times that ain't the case. Like if you come from money and you earn money, you may be completely a self-starter, but you probably had a lot of help along the way, even if it's just from connections. My father and mother were both public school teachers. So there was nothing they could do to give me a leg up on other people in terms of, summer jobs or whatever. Whereas friends of mine, like a really good friend of mine back in high school, his mom's boyfriend was an accountant. And so he was paying my friend $50 an hour to do accounting, like junior accounting work in high school. So he would work like a day on a Saturday, help out around the office, like doing legitimate accounting. He was legitimately, like, he's now an accountant and he was doing good work, getting paid $50 an hour. And then so he'd make, he did 7-hour day, he'd make $350, and that was buy a carton of smokes and have money for beer and whatever else over the course of the week, right? I didn't have someone who could give me that kind of thing. So an example of a privilege that he did not earn because he did not make his mommy and her boyfriend fall in love and do sex noises. Notice how Chapmanton can't help he's beautiful and strong and well-liked. It's true. He actually can help those things, in that he can overeat and he can scar his face and all sorts of stuff. But yes, Chapmanton, there are some qualities that we consider to be privileges that are inherent, and there are some qualities that we consider to be privileges that are environmental. YLW Bush parties. Yes, we very much like Bush parties. The Gully was literally, it's a giant valley type thing, and the kids would go into that little valley thing, and it's like there's houses all around the thing. It's not like some remote area, but they would go into the thing and they would have little bonfires and drink beer and play loud rock and roll music and, basically worship the devil. Unearned advantage is a tough one to grok and accept. It super is. Even the idea of physical beauty as a privilege is unearned because the person was born that way. They didn't earn it. And what makes someone physically beautiful is entirely socially constructed, right? So I am a weird looking guy, but in a kind of handsome way. Like I don't see myself as being ugly, despite the nickname Big Ugly Jim. I don't think I'm ugly, but I certainly don't tick all the boxes for a society that says that this is what beauty looks like, or this is what handsomeness looks like. And so if you're born beautiful by society standards, you will have certain privileges that are hard to imagine that you have not earned by being so gosh darn pretty. I thought it was Gronk for a second. No, grok I think is an IT term that us computer nerds have been using for a long time. We are some beautiful privileged mofos. Yes, we are. I mean, really privileged, good looking. Well, absolutely. Rhombus or Gronk, yes, but I grok that totally. That conversation was adorable. I kind of enjoy gronking and grokking. That sounds like it should be a new No Hope for the Lost album. Gronking and grokking. It's not going to be a new No Hope for the Lost album. I'm not that cool. I don't get to pick your album titles. I always wanted to make an album though, for like a punk rock band. And especially if I could design the whole album, it would look like this. There'd be a brick wall and a band looking all like angry in front of it, because that's like the most unoriginal punk rock thing ever. And a Canadian flag spray painted on the wall, and it just says, "Sorry, we're so unapologetic." I fucking love that. That, and I always wanted to make an album where there's a swimming pool and there's a baby dead at the bottom of it, and it just says, "Thanks, Nirvana." We did finally decide on the new EP title, and we ended up doing yet another concept EP. Oh, nice! I look forward to the next EP. No Hope for the Lost. If you're not following them, you should. Fantastic band, so fucking amazing, and just genuinely rad human being. So check him out. The One Who Knocks. Ooh, I kind of like that. That has some vibe. My youngest just did an album cover for a band. Cool fun. Yeah, I love doing that kind of shit. Like, I love making posters for shows. I'm not good at it. I'm not a graphic designer, and I mean, I dress myself. You guys have seen me. You know how terrible I am at what colors go together and all that kind of stuff. But I really enjoy doing that shit. And when we did, particularly Rotten Dreams from Johnny Incognito was an album we did, and I don't even think I have the artwork anymore. But we had this idea. The guitarist wanted to do the cover, and he's like, I've got this, and I'm like, okay, there's the timeline, and I knew he was not gonna do it. So I was like, there's a timeline, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna have like, you know, I can't even remember what the original plan for the title was, but it was gonna have like George Bush tied to like a crucifix and being whipped and like blood tear coming out of his eye and like all this great stuff. And I'm like, okay. And we're getting closer and closer, and I was like, do you have anything? And he finally came back and he sent me what he had, which was like, it was, I think, about like a 2x3 inch image in 72 DPI, so we couldn't have had a good quality printout. And it was literally like just a weird scene with George Bush's head glowing sort of a little bit, but like badly. And I was like, we're not using that. We ended up going out, we were driving out to Airdrie to work on a recording session, and we found a whole bunch of pumpkins that had been, this was in like February, and the pumpkins had been put out on fence posts in you know, at Halloween, and had been left. So they were weathered by the elements, and all the goo had come out of them, and they were sort of wrapped around these fence posts, and they looked more like pumpkin skulls and everything else. Really, really gorgeous. And the bass player in the band, Ethyl Alcohol, took some fantastic photos of these, and we used those, and we changed the name to Rotten Dreams. So that's the story behind that artwork. I love doing art. Bisexual Jukebox. This is the album cover that we're talking about. I take it I Am Canadian. Let's give her an eyeballing. One sec. Paste. Oh, I like that. Let me make it so that I can share these with others. This is the album cover. Calgary-based artist. Oh shit! I'm like accidentally. Does it matter to you that the name showed up? I can blur it when we redo the VOD. I can here. Let me zoom. And that way we can get, oh, come on, stupid thing. We can go like this. And one sec, I'll switch that back over. And then we can go like thus wise. Ooh, I do. Yeah, looking at that, I'm like, ooh, that is all kinds of gorgeous. Damn. Yeah, I don't have those skills. I do absolutely not have those skills. That's a gorgeous album cover, and your youngest did a great job. Yeah, I will definitely. I'll clip out that section, and if for whatever reason I incorporate this in a shorter video, which I never do because I never have the fucking time to go through and video edit all my shit. So I'll clip that part out, and I better make a note before I forget. Where's the fucking notepad? Oh, you know what? I got that. I downloaded that thing that you told me to download, and I haven't used it yet. But okay, this is at 1:45-ish. Cut out the bit where you can see the name of I Am Canadian's fam. Okay, I will do that. And yeah, like I say, if I do end up making a VOD out of a piece of that, then I will make sure it's blurred appropriately. I don't think I have the technology to just blur that little piece. Anyways, either way. They do good work. Hey, Surfer McGritty, how are you? Surfer McGritty is a streamer that I don't get the chance to see very often because often the times don't work out, but I enjoy what I've seen from Surfer McGritty. Welcome. We were just talking about I don't even know what the fuck we were just talking about. We've been rambling a little bit. Oh, we were talking about I use this analogy to talk about privilege and how privilege is sort of contextual, and how that's why when especially us white folks go, well, I don't have privilege because I'm poor, or because I'm this, or because I'm that. Yeah, but you still have privilege, and it still stacks all together to create an overall thing. So that, yeah, don't worry about it, Jim. Good. Yeah, well, you know what? I can clip it out really easily. It's that's a non thing, and it makes me happy. I remember early in the streaming of the Yammerings where you had posted someone's address. It was a copy and paste that you meant to do into a different window, and you pasted it in my chat, and I was like, I don't think that belongs there. Now I know how to deal with that better. So life is good. So anyway, Surfer McGritty, welcome. It's good to have you here. What else was I going to talk about? We did the rhombus moment, which was super fun. We talked about Cain Velasquez and how maybe we should probably not have this attitude that all people should be killed when they don't do things we want them to do. We talked about privilege using my cool dudes and dudettes club montage there. This was okay. There's a video we're gonna. I don't think it's long. I'm pretty sure this was a short thing. Ron DeSantis, who is a shoe of a human being, an utter shoe of a human being. Let me jump here and paste a thing, and then pause a thing as soon as it comes up. Yeah, this is like 4 minutes long, and I don't even think we have to watch the whole thing. But I wanted to share this with you because this is, Ron DeSantis loves us all. No, Ron DeSantis would eat us all, but he does not love us. Ron DeSantis does not know what love is. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more. All right, so
I want to bring up.
I should say this is who is this from? Benjamin Dixon, I believe. Yeah, Benjamin Dixon show. So that's where I'm cribbing this from. And the article or the video is titled "Ron DeSantis to form election police," which should not in any way make anyone uncomfortable with these terrible words like election police. Here we go.
I want to bring up. Let's go to the Florida House passing the bill to form election police force. This is happening in Florida right now. It was passed. We got a chance to speak to State Senator Chevin Jones from the state of Florida. And this particular bill that we're talking about passed afterwards. Now, it's important for us to understand what this bill is getting ready to do. It's going to create a commission, an office of election crimes, creating and changing, rather, the misdemeanor offense of gathering ballots, absentee ballots for your friends or colleagues, or there's a misdemeanor offense associated with that in the state of Florida that is going to be increased to a felony.
A felony. So literally this is like your friends give you their ballots and that's a misdemeanor. And it probably should be a misdemeanor. I don't understand the nuances of the law, but like that doesn't sound to me like gathering 10 million votes. That sounds to me like, my 6 buddies didn't know who to vote for, so I was like, give me your thing. And they did. Yep. That's probably not a huge thing that would result in, felony charge that will haunt you for the rest of your, but not in Florida, where Florida man rules.
Here's why this is important in context of everything else we've been talking about. It's literally important because the Republican Party is playing for keeps. They are going to do everything that they can to intimidate people out of voting, all the way to the point of if they can make your mistake a felony, they will absolutely send you to jail. It is a way of making you, of having a chilling effect, of discouraging you from participating in the voting process to begin with. That is the entire point of legislation like this. We do know for a fact that there is not any significant amount of voter fraud, right? We don't have, from the people, from the ground level, we do not have substantial cases, no statistically significant cases of voters going to vote twice. It just doesn't happen. When we do find the rare occasion, It has been Republicans. Nevertheless, that hasn't stopped Republicans over the last, I don't know, 10 years. The most recent, or one of the first instances I recall of this voter suppression tactics being so bold was around 2004, when so many voters in the state of Florida were purged, and I was included in that batch way back in 2004. So they've been playing the voter purge and voter suppression game for some time. Well, now they're codifying their games into law with the force of penalty, the force of a felony penalty for making a mistake in this voting process. This is all a part of their multi-tiered strategy to take control of this government even further beyond than what they already have. This is the kicker. It's not as though the United States of America is not already serving these rich conservative white men.
Facts.
Can we just be real for a second? The people who stormed the gates on January 6th, you know the saying about the Roman Empire falling and the barbarians at the gate. The irony of it is that they were the barbarians at the gates of their own empire. All of those aggrieved, well-to-do white men, well-to-do enough to have the souped-up pickup trucks and take a whole vacation, probably slept at some pretty decent hotels and ate at all the buffets that they could eat at. They had enough money to go on this joyride of January 6th. So they were well-to-do enough because this country serves rich or well-to-do white men, conservative white men in particular. So how ridiculous is it that the very people who were storming the gates of the empire that serves them, well, that's the sentence, right? It's ridiculous. This empire serves, the United States of America serves the very men who thought that they had to overthrow it on January 6th. And those
So
same
true.
people have been trying to suppress your vote at least since 2004. I mean, come on, like if we really root this in Black history, they've been trying, they never wanted us to vote to begin with.
So I love that take. I think it's really an interesting thing that well, just the way that Benjamin Dixon talks about it is important, I think. But just the concept of election police, like that should be chilling beyond words, and it's all part of this fucking fiction. This ridiculous, the gosh darn Democrats have stolen the election. There was widespread voter fraud. No, there fucking wasn't, you dorks. This is so fucking not a thing. But this is the thing that puzzles me, is like, how can you consider yourself a person who believes in a democracy when all you do is erode the power of people in that democracy to have their voices heard? And this is what people like DeSantis do. I find it eerie that he's another potential frontrunner for the next Republican Party leader dude. I don't think Trump's gonna survive that long. I'm not providing any medical basis for this. I just don't feel that Trump has that staying power. I think that he's not in good condition and does nothing to stay in good condition, and is already, I feel like we can safely say he appears to not be the man he once was. And yeah, so guys like DeSantis, they're doing these things to curry favor with the Freedom Convoy type people and the others who are like, voting is great, but does everyone get to do it, or is it just people like me? I don't know. That should cause every single fucking human being on Earth to be triggered, as said there by I Am Canadian. No hope for the Nate. Great news. My furnace died. That is not great news. And needs replacing, so my landlord is installing an AC unit now. Oh, right on. I would think that an AC unit is the opposite of a furnace, but what do I know about? I'm no intelligent AC HVAC expert. But that is super triggering, and I find it weird because it's the same as like the guys that are down at the Beltline right now screaming about freedom and Justin Trudeau being a cancer because they don't know how to spell cancer. Like Like, cool, fellas. I'm sure glad that y'all believe so deeply in freedom that you're willing to threaten people who are exercising their freedom to wear a fucking mask. That's neat. I'm so glad that we're so focused on freedom when that freedom is literally not something that these people are supporting or endorsing. Like, I just don't understand the fucking world anymore. I legitimately don't get how this is a thing that we're even talking about. But this movement is growing, and this idea is bigger and bigger. That maybe democracy would be great, except that we would also not allow democracy to be democracy. You know, we just had a fucking federal election, and these people are demanding the resignation of like all liberals because they're traitors and terrorists, quote unquote, for having mask mandates during a fucking pandemic. And well, really, so basically, what you're saying is only the people you approve of are allowed to lead the country. That's neat. Only people on the far right there over there. Maybe the people who will stand up for good and decent things like no abortions and like stop letting the poors get away with having health care and stuff. Maybe we could just, like, I don't know, descend into some fascism. That'd be cool. The Flu Trucks clan is tiresome, and the thing that sucks is, like, people think that it's done. It's been fucking, like, they've been down in the Beltline not for like weeks. I'm talking they've been down there for like probably close to a year, just gathering numbers and honking and screaming and threatening and just being assholes. They've been doing that for like a fucking year. My kiddo at the start of the broadcast today was talking about how the police are finally doing something about it. Theoretically, there's a lot more police down there today, but these jackbooted assholes are completely okay to just keep on getting away with shit, and the people who live there are fucking tired of getting shit on. Fuck Trudeau seems aimed at something other than freedom. Yeah, well, it's exactly that. And freedom, like I said, we just had an election. We just voted. I hate Justin Trudeau. I think he's a joke. He is not the leader I voted for, and he's not the leader I want. But he's the leader that was voted for by the majority of Canadian people. So he is our leader. And they're like, yeah, but I don't like him. Maybe we should get rid of him. Someone needs to do something about that boy. He's a dangerous terrorist. He's a cancer. I don't have no cancers. It's fucking sketchy as all shit, as far as I'm concerned. It reminds me, actually, just last evening, I was sitting with a snifter full of, I almost said a sphincter, a snifter full of brandy, engaged in my favorite activity of backgammon with the lads. No, I wasn't. I was sitting in my fucking chair, watching Twitch, and I was watching Riverboat Jack's chat. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was the day before yesterday. Watching Riverboat Jack's video or streaming, and I was in the chat. We were chatting away, and this person came in, a sphincter full of brandy. Yes, delightful, so good for the olfactories. Someone came in, and Jack was like, "Hey, everyone, this person who came in subs to me, and that's awesome. But it's worth noting they are a fascist, and they will start talking about fascism." Just so you're aware, they never go too far. Jack is a trans woman and a leftist, and she's like, yeah, this person never calls me names, never does any of the things that we associate with fascism, but is a fascist, and we'll talk about fascism, just so everyone's prepared. If it goes too far, I will have them banned, but I've never had to do that. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And I'm watching and I'm listening, and finally, like, sure enough, they start in on like, fascism's pretty cool. And, the whole chat is made up of lefties and various assorted ne'er-do-wells. And we okay, explain yourself. And we actually had this really interesting, not a good conversation, because I kept, at some point I hit a point where I was like, are you 14? You must be 14. And I just kind of kept asking that because it was like 14-year-old takes. The person's whole thing was, well, the government is corrupt. The two-party system is corrupt. We know that it's corrupt. So therefore, we should just do a fascism. And I was like, isn't there like other options? Like, I don't know, fixing the problems with the system? Because the problems with the system are pretty transparent. What this person was talking about was corruption. Was the idea of, you know, having you have a established power leader broker group type people who are beholden to their benefactors, which is no shock to anybody. And there are all kinds of ways this shows up, like Nancy Pelosi getting rich off her husband making sound financial decisions with no insider trading at all. Wink, wink. That's something that can be solved. You know, we can do things about that. We can pass rules around forcing public disclosure of any financial transactions of that nature that a person takes part in. That is not just a member of Congress or representatives, or in here it'd be legislature or parliament or whatever, but also their families and you know, keeping close ties on their close friends and family to say, wow, you know, this person is the head of a committee on, let's say, energy, and a big energy policy thing was about to come out, and all of a sudden, all of the people in their sphere of influence decided to sell off a bunch of energy related stocks. I wonder if they're, you know, like that. That's bad. We don't do that. We don't like that. Frustrating thing is the problems are fixable. We just don't have anyone with eggs who will take it on and do it. We need someone with big bass eggs to just get this shit fixed. We need governments to stop peddling to companies. We need to, yeah, absolutely. We need to do things like, you know, one of the reasons that the rich don't pay tax or pay substantially, you know, they may pay more in tax, but substantially less in terms of the impact on them. One of the big reasons for that is because they don't wanna. And so when they go, hey, whether it's Biden or Trudeau or whoever the fuck is in power or is the opposition or whatever, they go, hey, we don't want to pay more taxes. And they go like, dude, got you. You keep sending that money my way, we're good. That's called collusion. And we should have rules that prevent that. And we should be making decisions about taxation from unappointed sources. So I don't know, maybe Revenue Canada should be given the ability to establish the rules for taxation in terms of percentages and whatever else. Maybe Revenue Canada should be forced to go after people who are wealthy and who are cheating on their taxes. Because we audit the shit out of poor people. And poor people who can't fucking afford it, like the working poor, suddenly are, oh shit, I've got an extra $5,000 in it. Like my most recent tax thing, I literally gave up. I could still do something about this, but I did my taxes, and I was like, here's how much I paid in child support. Here's how much I paid in spousal support. Here's how much I, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And they sent me a note that was like, okay, you have to prove that you paid child support. So I was like, okay, how do I do that? And I said, what I can do is I can get a letter from my ex-wife that outlines that I paid her child support, that the numbers are the same between the two things, and that yes, she is agreeing to the fact that I paid child support and spousal support, and these were the dollar figures that we agreed to, and that I met those conditions, and I can provide you with all of the history of email transfers for that time period to her. And they're like, yep, that's perfect. Okay, so I did all that, which was no small amount of hassle trying to get all this done during, you know, shitty pandemic times. But I got it all. I submitted it. And they were like, yeah, this isn't enough. And I was like, what are you fucking talking about? And they're like, you can't use debit transactions, like Interact transactions as proof. And I was like, but it literally has the email address and name of the person who is also the email address and name of the person that signed this document. I paid more than what I'm claiming, and it's clear that you do the math that I'm only claiming most of what I paid, not all. Like, where's the problem? They're like, well, you need to have better evidence. And I was like, well, that's why I asked you motherfuckers what kind of evidence I needed. And I literally got to a point where I chased my tail on it so long, I was like, fuck it, I don't care. And I got a little while ago, I got a note that like, hey, we've reassessed and we just decided that you didn't pay any child support or spousal support because you don't want to back it up with facts, even though I did. And I'm like, fine. I just won't take any, and that's all income. I'll pay tax on it. I don't fucking care. Which is the wrong thing to do. But this is the thing, is that some small single dad dude like me, not making a huge amount of money, Revenue Canada is just going to stick it up my ass. And they can and they will. And that's fine. But do the same thing to people who are rich. Go after tax shelters. Make rules that say that you can't do things that are currently the tax loopholes. The reason we don't do that is because we're afraid that our elected officials are afraid that they won't have the support of the wealthy. So take it out of their hands. That's how you change the system. You know, you have to see the things that are wrong and go, there are ways to fix this. My day job, I am a business analyst, which means that my role is to look at groups of systems or processes or whatever, or people doing things, however you want to view it, find the weak points and strengthen them so that they can be automated, so that they can be improved upon. Every system, no matter how big, you can break down into reasonable component parts that you need to address. And then you can come up with practical ways to address them on the small scale, and those all filter into a large scale systemic improvement. That's how you make the world better. You don't do it by, as this chatter in Riverboat Jack's thing was saying, let's just try fascism. It worked in Singapore, says the person. Now, I don't know anything about Singapore politics. I'm not a foreign policy guy. But I have a funny feeling like if Singapore is fascist, they're probably not happy about it. Certainly, I would not be happy about suddenly being fascist. That would probably curtail a lot of my happiness. Even if we gave them a socialist sounding name, that still wouldn't make me very happy. I'm very particular that way. What can I say? But yeah, we need governments to stop the welfare argument. Oh yeah, welfare's for lazy people. Oh, what's that? Big oil company? You need a few $1 billion. Well, here you go. No. What we need to do is start looking at the realities of the situation around us. We are more and more automating, which means we are going to be needing less and less staff. Some of that will be managed by the fact that we have a very natural decrease in our population. Which is not something to be afraid of. People are not making all the babies. That's cool. But when we start to see that there are simply not jobs for people because of automation, if all the automation is owned by individual businesses, then they're just going to have to pay the way for the rest of us. That's just the fucking world. We all still need to live and eat. We can't have a world where Bezos and George Soros and all these people are the only people that make money. That's bad. It's bad. Please, oil company, take these billions and use it to move to the USA. Yes, the Encana story. We're having really hard times. Oh, okay. Have some billions of dollars. Thank you very much. We're going to rebrand and move to the US. See ya. What about the money we threw at fucking Keystone XL? And I want to just again say, Keystone XL would not have solved anyone's fucking problems right now in the States. Americans are screaming about, if only we had approved Keystone XL. No. First off, there is already a Keystone pipeline. Keystone XL was I don't know if it was a twinning or whatever, but it was increasing the amount of pipeline that TransCanada is managing along that route. Just perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. The person who said no to this was Donald J. Trump. First it was Obama, then it was Donald J. Trump. So bipartisan no. Had the project gone through, it would be completed in 2023. That's right, 2023. In other words, it wouldn't be done. You would still have really stupid high oil prices because that's the way the world is right now. It wouldn't have fixed anything. Not only that, people keep going, we could have produced so much more oil. No, we're not increasing production of oil. Americans aren't increasing oil jobs by having an XL pipeline. It's actually Canadians who would get benefited from that, because the fucking pipeline starts in Canada and is designed to get Canadian oil into American markets. And I don't like it. We don't need more of our economy tied to U.S. It's just dumb. People are so completely ignorant on all of the nuances of what they talk about all the time. Like, I know these things because I actually work in energy in Canada, and I know things from knowing that industry. And it's like, fuck right off. The Alberta government at the start of COVID gave secured loans of like $1 billion because Donald J, we were pretty sure he was just going to suddenly change his mind on Keystone XL and vote for it. And TransCanada Pipeline was like, dude, it's going to happen. And Jason Kenney was like, I will guarantee you loans. I'll give you, I think it was like he gave them $1 billion and guaranteed a bunch of loans and all this shit. And then Trump was like, nah, we're not doing that. Leaving Alberta on, I think the total amount that we're out on that is like $7 billion. That was a good use of money. And all the TC Energy people lost their jobs. You should be screaming about the cost of insulin, not gasoline. Yes. Is it closer to 15 billion? I don't know the number offhand. So, whether 7, 15, it doesn't even matter. At some point, it's just a shit ton of money. Yeah, people should be upset about the cost of medications. People should be upset about the cost of post-secondary education. People should be upset about the cost of healthcare. People should be upset about accessibility to clean drinking water in remote parts of the country. I'm looking at you, Indian Affairs Act, or Department, or sorry. There's a lot of things we can be really upset about, and gas is stupid. Not only that, I don't know if people are aware of this, but turns out gasoline bad, oil bad. I'm not taking a moral stance here as someone who works in that industry and admittedly gets my rent is paid by bad is bad. It is not a long-term solution. It is a short-term solution whose term is almost up, because we can't do this. We can't continue to burn fossil fuels, both from an environmental perspective and also from a there just ain't that much fucking gas left perspective. It costs more and more money to make usable petroleum out of the ground, or out of oil sands, or out of whatever. People are dumb. That money needs to get injected into alternatives. And that includes nuclear power. That includes biofuel. Specifically, I would focus biofuel almost exclusively on the necessity for oh shit, my brain just emptied. Greases and lubes, which are a huge necessity both for personal and business use, and you got to do them. But energy should be focused on nuclear, wind, water power, hydroelectric, and other technologies. We should be improving the fuck out of battery technology so that lithium isn't being used, hopefully, and that what we're using to store energy doesn't result in massive fucking dead zones in mines and massive environmental horrors when they are disposed of. Energy is vital. Space-based solar power is the answer. Lagrange point mirrors beaming power to ground stations. I honestly don't know much about the whole space-based solar power thing, but from an energy perspective, whether it's solar or wind or whatever, we just have to have options. And the option being oil or natural gas ain't the option anymore. We just have to get over that shit. So when the price of oil goes up, fine. We best be doing something to get off that. And then fucking Trump with the ridiculous bragging about when he was in power, the low price of oil. Do you guys remember what happened with the price of oil when Trump was in power? It was around the COVID time. And we talked about this last week, but I'm still pissed about it. The price for Alberta oil was negative. The price for all oil hit the toilet, and he filled up the reserves as a way to try and stop the bleeding, because it wasn't that we had such great oil prices It was terrible. We were like threatened with economic destruction from having too low oil prices. Now that the Biden is in power, and suddenly the oil prices are sky high due to Russian embargoes and also due to capitalism. All of a sudden, everybody's going, "Oh my God, oil prices are so high," and fucking Trump has the balls to be like, "Oh yeah, wasn't it amazing when I was president and the oil price was small? It was very small. It was a lot of people are saying like, fuck you, dude, you fucking lying sack of crap. That is incredibly irresponsible, and I got no love. I got zero love for that shit." Whew. All right, I think it's time for me to take another break. A lot of people are saying it. Yeah, that aggravated. It was so fucking, and like the people repeating it know better. The people repeating it are not thinking to them like the news media and shit are not going like, "Oh yeah, remember oil was low and there was, I don't know, there's some other shit happening at the time, but oil was low and that was awesome." No, oil was like terrifyingly low, and the entire U.S. and world economy were threatened by this. And now oil price is ridiculously high, and the entire U.S. and world economy is threatened by this. Turns out, having all your eggs in one basket sometimes isn't the best plan. Gotta go. Yeah, ciao for now. I'm Canadian. Always a pleasure, my friend. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I get back, we can chat some more, or I can do my weekly humiliations. If you're curious, weekly humiliations this week should be fantastic. We are looking at we're looking at Down Under by Men at Work, Africa by Toto, and I'll Stick Around by the Foo Fighters. Plus, I always take requests for if anyone wants to have me sing other stuff, and if I feel like singing other stuff, no matter what, I fucking will, because that's how I do. Yeah, ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited for some of that. Some of it I'm terrified about. All right, but I am going to take a quick pause. I'm going to put on some cheesy music. And again, this song is called Rib Nar, written as a tribute to the great Rob Knorr, who just sucks. And here we go. That's not the thing I wanted to highlight. That's the thing. And I do that. And then I mute my mic and we're good. I'll be right back. I'm back. I missed me. All right. So, I was just looking on the interwebs while I was outside. It turns out that the police have done fuck off nothing at the protest. So, there's a shock. Big, huge shock. I'm just email money transferring my child. And then I'll be good to continue on. All right. And sent. All right, cool. So yeah, big shock. Cops did nothing. So weird. I know we're all almost in a state of befuddlement over this. I know I am. So we're at that point. It's 2:15. I usually start in on the weekly humiliations. If you're new, I don't know if anyone's even watching right now. I imagine there's at least someone watching. I see No Hope for the Nate, Farming Girl, Dehani or Donnie. Either way, if you're new, hey, maybe click follow. That'd be cool. Welcome back. My dreams were my ticket out. That's an old people joke, which I can make because I'm related to an old people. Yeah. So I think yeah, we're gonna do the weekly humiliations. Where this comes from, for those that are new, is unless people come up in chat and start saying, "Hey, let's talk about this thing." Usually around the end of my stream, I will do what I call my weekly humiliations, which is where I humiliate myself by singing karaoke. There's actually a whole ticker that I created. I had this idea, and I'll explain it. But the ticker looks like this. And what I was doing was I was trying to figure out how to make sure that people don't support me financially. So there was like, I had this whole thing that like all of a sudden, what if I become a not small streamer Andy, which is not going to happen. I'm over a year in, and I'm pretty sure I'm destined for small streamer Andy status, which is 100% cool. But I was like, I don't want to like have subs and have people giving Jeff Bezos money on my behalf. That doesn't feel right. So I was like, maybe I'll get people to like email transfer me instead if they want to. Like, no one should ever give me money. I have a good day job. I pay my rent. Everything's fine. Like, you know, I do not need money from this. But for those people that want to, I wanted to give them an option. And then I was like, well, how about I come up with this ticker? And again, the ticker was like this. There was good karaoke, which would be no matter what you got. Then there was bad karaoke, where I would sing a song that is not intended for me to sing. Scarioke, where chat would choose a song. Trumpetoke, where I would play my trumpet along to whatever song chat chose. And then Hell to Pay was whatever horrifying thing chat wanted me to do. I still do the singing, but I like the singing. So you don't ever have to feel like you need to send me money, and you should definitely not send me money. But I do enjoy doing karaoke. So we're gonna do that, unless chat pops in with stuff, in which case we can chat more. But here we go. Where's my window? Why the fuck am I so bad at finding windows? Okay, so we're gonna start with Down Under by Men at Work. This should be terrible. I don't think this is at all in my range. I need to explain. Making noise, traveling under the crowd of combine. Oh yeah, on a hippie trail, head full of zombies. I met a strange lady. She made me nervous. Oh fuck. She took me in and gave me breakfast. She said, "You come from a land down under. Women glow and men plunder. Could you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover." This is awesome to have next to Elden Ring. I could only imagine. And the ultimate Elden Ring soundtrack. Buying bread. Oh, no, not yet. Buying bread from a man in Brussels. He was 6'4" and full of muscle. I said, "Do you speak in my language?" And he just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, I come from a land down under, where bitters flow and men chunder. Chunder is vomit. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover, yeah. Not a lot of songs that have rock and roll flute. Lying in a den in Bombay, with a slack jaw and not much to say, I said to the man, are you trying to tempt me? Because I come from the land of plenty. And he said, I come from a land down under, where women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Living in a land down under, where women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Living in a land down under, where women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? Oh yeah, you better run, you better take cover. Living in a land down under, oh, where women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Living in a land down under. The song is a lot longer than I remember. Women glow and men plunder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take cover. Alright. I was gonna try The Hero by Amon Amarth, but I don't really know the cadence of it, so I chose not to. Next up, we have Africa by Toto, which I feel is a very poor choice. Definitely not in my range. We'll see if it's one of those songs where I have to like shift octaves all the time, because I feel like it might be. Also, fucking iconic song. If I danced with girls back in high school, I'd have danced to this. I hear the drums echoing tonight. She hears only whispers of some fine conversation. That's too low. We'll try an octave up. She's coming in 12:30 flight. Moonlight wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation. There's no way I can go up on this. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words and ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you. See, it's gonna get higher. Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I've pressed the reins down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never had. It's a fucking great song. Wild dogs cry out in the night as they grow restless restless, longing for some solitary company. Know that I must do what's right. Sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti. What an awkward series of words. I seek to cure what's deep inside, frightened of this thing that I've become. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I've blessed the rains off on Africa. Shit! It's gonna take some time to do the things we never had. Yeah, nailing it. I like how I have to like jump octaves, like literally line to line. So not my range. And like marimba. Hurry boy, she's waiting there for you. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. Unless the rain's down in Africa. I bless the rains down in Africa. I bless the rains down in Africa. I bless the rains down in Africa. Bless the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never had. I don't know if you guys are enjoying it. I'm enjoying that. I may have sucked at that song, but it was a shit ton of fun. Hell yeah. I made a good choice not doing him on Amar, but this was just good. And what was next again? Shit. Oh yeah, Foo Fighters. So this is off the first Foo Fighters album. It was the first song I ever heard of the Foo Fighters, and the rest of the album was more indicative of the Foo Fighters, and I didn't like it because I wasn't there yet, but now I love Foo Fighters. Every word I said was true, and that you'll see. How could it be? I'm the only one who sees your rehearsed insanity, yeah. I still refused all the methods you abuse. It's alright if you're confused. Let me be. Been around all the pawns you gagged and bound. They'll come back and knock you down, and I'll be free. I've taken all and I've endured. One day it all will fade, I'm sure. I don't owe you anything. 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 I had no hand in your ever desperate plan. It returns and when See if I can fix that. I've taken all and I've endured. One day it all will fade, I'm sure. I don't know you anything. 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 I'll stick around and learn from all that came from it. I'll stick around and learn from all that came from it. I'll stick around and learn from all that came from it. I'll stick around and learn from all that came from it. That was fun. And that was all I had planned on for my weekly humiliations. So maybe I'll just get some time. I'll do a couple more songs. Maybe things that are good. Maybe things that are bad. I think I should do the Amon Amarth. I think karaoke, Amon Amarth. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Twilight of the Thunder God. I think they have the hero. Maybe I have to add hero. It's like the only Amon Amarth song I only kind of know. This is gonna be not good. Definitely gonna be not good. Fucking awesome song. I gotta make my way to work for the next few hours. Have a great day, Jim. You too, Nate. I love you, brother. We'll see you soon. Black as night, black as my soulless heart. It bears the burden of many lives, but I don't feel remorse. I lend my soul to anyone willing to pay the price. No thanks for what I've done, a mercenary's life. Totally gonna destroy my throat. This will be the last song. Garrett fucking Steve. I'm not a metal singer. But there I was. Natural grow. I'm in my mental jungle. I can see my flesh deep and they old and weak. But I did not leave free. Good sound, good song, good vibe. In my own blood, a stranger's cry for me. I'm prepared to meet the gods. I wish they'd let me be. Sympathy, I know what I am. My soul is death and misery. I am an evil man. Coffee should help. Yeah. song despite butchering it so brutally. I rest in my blood, soon I will face the gods. Strangers come from me, I wish they'd let me shed no tears for me. I know who I am. I am an evil man. Oh yeah, good stuff. I am an evil man. I know who I am. I am an evil man. I know who I am. I am an evil man. I know who I am. I am an evil man. Yeah, that was good on the voice. I'm definitely made for metal theme. Definitely was not a bad decision. Oh well. You know what? I think I'm done. I think I'm done for the day, folks. Do I still have anyone in chat? Let's see if I have anyone in chat. If I have anyone in chat, maybe we'll do a little raid arena. It says I have a few people. Yeah, let's do a little raid. A little raid and never hurt anybody except when they're hate raids, and we're not doing a hate raid because that's a jerk move. So if you're watching on the Twitches, we're gonna raid a channel. Let's see what my choices are. I see Lumi Roo, Dan Simpson, and $27. I'm just gonna quickly refresh, make sure, because I don't know. I'm doing things that are different. Now I see Hassan, Lumi Roo, Lonerbox, and Dickens. Let's raid Lonerbox. I like Lonerbox a bunch. And if you want to follow, please do. If you don't, I get it. But I like Lonerbox, and we're doing it. Thank you all.
Big Ugly Jim with the party of two. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope you had a good stream. I don't know if the problem is just that there are too
Oh yeah,
many
I'm
men
still